Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video, we're going to talk getting started with half the glory for Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and in particular, we're going to look at the cities of Sigmar and the sub-faction of Anvilgard, my personal favourite sub-faction. If you watch the channel, you know I love Anvilgard. So in this video, we're going to talk about what exactly Anvilgard is, what it gives us as an army, what special sort of rules we get from this particular sub-faction, and the narrative sort of behind it on what units will fit well in it. We'll then go look through the 5 major steps and talk you through the 5 first steps of creating your roster, and then show you some units you should probably start off with, units you can expand your roster with later, and then finally finish off with a little sample 600-point Vanguard style Path to Glory army list for you to use as some inspiration to start your own, or indeed copy ours if that's what you want to do. And so, what exactly do we get with Anvilgard? So it is a city of Sigmar, so we get all the cool things like an honoured retinue for our general. We get a general's adjutant, who, when they're near our general, can generate command points on a 4+ at the start of a turn. We get stormkeeps in this army, so we can have some stormcast 1 in 4 coalition units, which is all really cool. But Anvilgard's big thing is it gets to do something called illicit dealings at the start of the game. It gets this cool ability, you get to pick one of 3 things, either getting an extra artifact for free, getting an extra one of your special Drakeblood curses, which are monster-specific enhancements for your Hydras and Charybdises, and your Black Dragons and stuff. Or you can choose to get an extra D3 command point on turn 1. All of them are really, really solid. And this army really does have a heavy narrative focus, at least on the Dark Elves. It's all about the pirates and the ports and the Darkened Covens. This city in the narrative actually becomes Hakuron, and this is where the story of Broken Realms and Wrathi really takes place in her forging her empire. But with that all said, where do we go looking to put our warband together? And let's go through the steps to Path to Glory. And so, to get started, first one is to choose your faction and realm. Now, when you choose your faction, you must choose your sub-faction. This cannot change throughout your entire course of the Path to Glory campaign. So, for this, obviously, we're going to be picking Anvilgard. With realm, normally you would get to pick your realm, but in the cities of Sigmar, the cities you are from is picked from your realm. But if you're maybe trying to create your own city of Sigmar, maybe you want to pick your own realm and make something your own narrative, that's completely fine. It doesn't really have a huge impact on a lot of things in the game. More some artifact choices you get if you play with particular supplements of Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Now, step 2 is choosing your starting size and starting territories. And if you're just getting into Warhammer Age of Sigmar, I recommend getting in at Vanguard size. This is a 600-point game size. You have a limit of 6 units maximum, and then you have 1 starting territory and 5 starting glory points. Speaking of that starting territory, you pick that here. I would strongly suggest Wildlands for Anvilgard, as they like having all those cool monsters in their army, so being able to take an extra one thanks to Wildlands is really cool. Lastly, you've got step 3, your order of battle. This is your roster of units that you can pull from to play battles. Now, obviously, you might play like 600-point games to start with, but you could totally play a 300-point game, a 500-point game, or whatever. And these are the units you pull from to build that list up with. And so, you have a maximum number of units you can have in these based on your starting size. You can expand over these as time goes on. But obviously, we've talked about it, is a 6-unit starting limit. You can have a maximum of 3 heroes available in your starting warband roster at this size, and you can have 1 of each monster, war machine, wizard, priest, reinforced unit, and ally. Though, thanks to our Wildlands, we can have 2 monsters. While we're not going to have 2 monsters at the beginning, although you could potentially with Anvilgard, we're not going to in our little sample list, but you definitely could. But it would be great for having it already there, ready for later. But looking at where to start, and the first place to start looking is a Black Ark Fleetmaster. We're going to go with pirate theme and Dark Elf theme, so having the pirate Fleetmaster himself, the Black Ark Fleetmaster, is a great starting point. Now, he is a dirt cheap hero, and he's not too shabby in combat. He'll take out some good little chaff units by himself. He's got some cool little rules, but his big thing is he's got a really good command ability that gives +1 attack to any Black Ark Corsair or Scourge Privateer keyworded unit around him. And so, to complement him, we're going to go with Black Ark Corsairs. Corsairs have 2 weapon loadouts. They can either have a shooting loadout or a close combat weapon loadout. And the cool thing about the 2 variations is they are both pretty decent with some combinations you can play inside Anvilgard. The shooting weapon you have is a 9-inch shooting attack that has 2 shots. It is 5s to hit, 4s to wound, though with your flashing blades it can easily beat 4s and 4s, which is really cool. And then you've got your lesser weapon if you choose to go with that, which will be a 4 and 5 or 3 and 5 if you're in the correct unit size. If you go with 2 close combat weapons, you get the 4 and 5 hit and wound close combat weapon, but you also get a 4 and 4 weapon as well, meaning you have 3s and 4s and 3s and 5s. And what's really cool about this is you get 2 different weapon profiles with those swords. So something like the Blackheart Corsair, he gets to add an attack to each profile, meaning your Corsairs can go up to 4 attacks each. While they're not the best attacks, they definitely can go with quantity over quality. A Sorceress is another great addition. Adding in some magic to your force and Darkened Covens is just a great place to go for some narrative adding onto your force. She has a really good War Scroll spell to start with a -1 to hit and D3 mortal wound spell, all wrapped up in the same spell. It's amazing. Word of Pain, she tells some really nasty words to your enemies, but she also has the ability to give herself +2 to cast by sacrificing a Darkened Covens unit, or rather a model from a Darkened Covens unit. And so, speaking of sacrifices, we're going to look at Dread Spears. If you're going to have something to sacrifice for the Sorceress, I really do recommend just taking something like Dread Spears or something nice and cheap. You don't want to be wasting things like Dark Shards, which are more expensive now, or your more elite units available to the Darkened Covens. So you want something nice and cheap. I think Dread Spears are a little bit more useful than the blades option that you can build out of the box, but really that's up to you. Either one will serve the purpose nice and well. But this really is a solid start for a Dark Elf force for Anvilgard. Looking into other units, and we'll look at the other 2 main Blackheart Corsair or Scourge Privateer units. The first one is the Scourge Runner Chariot. This is a really fast chariot. There is a shooting chariot, so this can be great at moving up the table and getting its shots into range of the things it really wants to target. It does D3 mortal wounds on the hit roll if it rolls a 6 to hit, which is really cool. 2 shots off that Ravager Harpoon, and they do D3 damage with round 1 if they don't manage to get in those mortal wound 6s. And it also has another 4 shots coming out of the crossbows from the unit as well. So it's got a decent amount of firepower and can really do some damage to your opponent. Then we've got the Charybdis next to this. This is a really cool monster. Now, a lot of people don't rate the Charybdis, but I think in Anvilgard, he is really solid. The Drakeblood Curse you can take called a Felgaze, which puts -2 bravery, can stack on top of the Charybdis' already amazing -1 bravery debuff, giving a -3 bravery debuff around the table, which I think is just really fun. Looking into the Darkened Covens though, we've got Blackguard first. These are an elite unit. They've got 2 attacks each, 3s and 3s, 2-inch range. They get some bonuses if they've got a Darkened Covens hero nearby as well, which is really nice. All in all, just a really solid unit. Now we put them up next to Executioners, who generally aren't quite as rend apparent. So the Executioners do not have rend, while the Blackguard have rend, but Executioners do mortal wounds on 6s to hit. So you've definitely got a little bit of option here on which one of the 2 units you really want to play, as they both definitely have some value for me. But lastly, let's look at a little sample army list for Anvilgard. So we're obviously going with Alyssa Dillington, and we've gone with Hidden Agents to begin. Hidden Agents is going to be the one that gives a D3 extra command points in the first turn. Now we've got Grand Strategy, Hold the Line. We've got a lot of battle line options in Anvilgard. A lot of things become battle line because of the Blackout Fleetmaster, and a lot of the Darkened Covens and Darker stuff actually is battle line pure. So that's a really cool option. So Triumph-wise, we're 10 points under. We've got a Triumph option. We've gone Inspired. +1 wound can be really great on those repeater handbows. Now, we've gone for the General as the Blackout Fleetmaster. He's got Blackfang Crimelord, which allows us to pick a second Illicit Dealing, and we've gone for Black Market Bounty, giving us a second artifact. He's then going to have the Arcane Tome and the Law of Dark Sorcery, Sap Strength, which is a -1 to hit spell. So we're going to have access to 2 -1 to hit spells in the force. We then have a Sorceress. She's going to be our General's Adjutant, so as long as she's near the Fleetmaster, she's going to generate a command point on 4+ at the start of every turn. And then she's got the Drake Scale Cloak for a 5-up ward. She's then got an amazing spell called Vitriolic Spray. This is a fantastic beta strike spell. You sit behind one of your screens or 6 inches away, cast a spell when your opponent charges in, and it actually removes your opponent's armor save, changing the characteristic to dash. So this works on things like Nighthorn and all those ethereal units because it changes the characteristic. What's better is it means that your opponent can only ever get a max of 6-up save when they try and stack from Vitriolic Spray. For Battle Line, we've got 2 units of Blackheart Corsairs. One of 20 and 1 of 10. In this, we've gone for the repeater hand bows, but I think you can really choose on what options you want to go. I do like both options. Sometimes I do like the bigger units to maybe be the combat corsairs nowadays, but both definitely have value, so it's really up to you on what you want to load out your Blackout Corsairs with. We then have one of the Blackout Corsairs unit, the smaller unit, being our Honoured Retinue for our General, providing him with a 4-up ward save to allocate damage to them if he's ever targeted while he's near them. 10 Dread Spears for some sacrifice for the Sorceress, and a Scourge Runner Chariot round out the army list at 590 points out of the 600, and we're wrapped up the entire thing in a Battle Regiment. We've taken all 6 of our unit slots, so you can't break up those Blackout Corsairs. If you want to include another unit, you're going to have to drop something out, but I do think this is a decent list here for a start for an Anvilgard force. 56 wounds, 1 drop, 590 points, 10 points under. This is solid stuff. Well, that's it for the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already, you can come and join our Discord server and come chat with me and other members of our fun little community over there. You'll find a link in the description of the video. Lastly, if you'd like to help support the channel, you can do so by going and joining either our Patreon or YouTube members. Both of them have descriptions and links in the video's description, and we would like to give a shout out to everyone who does support via Patreon and YouTube members. Thanks to our Patreons, Christian Weir, James Soren, Greenskins Gaming, AJC, Kenny Lowe, Outer and Shot First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Q Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, Anton Nilsson, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, and Samuel. And thanks to our YouTube members, Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Crystal Rollis, Ronya, Vinny, Lockloric, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Revenar, Wolfric Nick, Broken Shelf, and Ariana Edwards. Lastly, a special shout out to Lady Witch Fox Art, who does all the amazing artwork for our channel, and 2X Morphic, who does all the background work on our Discord server. Thank you all for watching once again. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.